It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman, and this show is brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get an autographed copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. But also, too, you got the Father's Day is right around the corner, so we can you can do locates. You look for the people search feature. We can locate the long-lost relatives. If you're a father, you want to locate your kids. Your kid, you want to locate your dad or your estranged relatives. Also, too, we're adoption investigations. If you're seeking a biological relative that was separated through the adoption process, you want to find your parent, you want to find your child, contact emailrevealer.com. Okay, I'm very excited about today's show. We have attorney Robert David Lewis from Arkansas, and he's representing Linda Ives, who's the mother of Larry Kevin Ives. And you might recall the story as the boys on the tracks. Larry Kevin Ives, was one of these boys that was discovered dead on the railroad tracks down there in Mena, Arkansas. And as the story progressed and started to unfold, it is common knowledge that it was related to the Iran-Contra drug smuggling and Barry Seal cocaine smuggling that went on there down in Mena, Arkansas, under the nose of Bill Clinton. So we have with us today Robert David Lewis, who's the attorney, and he just filed a complaint for freedom of information on behalf of Linda Ives. I'm going to have a link to this, too, on OppermanReport.com. Check it out. It probably has the best summary of what went on down there at Mena, Arkansas, at this Mena airport, with the whole Barry Seal and the cocaine smuggling and the arms for Contras. Best summary I've seen so far. So, Mr. Lewis, are you there?
I am.
Thank you so much for joining the show. Tell us about yourself. Who is Robert David Lewis?
Well, I'm a lawyer. I'm 73. I'm licensed in California and Arkansas. I practiced a little bit in Northern California, and I'm a member of the San Francisco Trial Lawyers Association. And I have all my kids and grandkids live there, so I go out there from time to time. But I practice here, and I've been here since the beginning of time, sort of. I've been here since 1973. I'm from here, but I went to California and practiced law out there for a while. So I'm here, solo practice, do cases that are interesting, and this is the most interesting case I've ever had.
Yeah, with a lot of historic significance. How did you become involved in this case?
Okay, here's the deal. Back in, what year was this, 67, 68, I had a client who was telling me that the police officers here in Pulaski County, Arkansas, had offered him a deal to run a meth lab, and they would give him protection from law enforcement in two counties, Saline and Pulaski County. And I thought that was interesting because I had been reading press reports of a grand jury going on in Saline County investigating the murder of the kids on the tracks, and they had witnesses that were telling them the same story, that these officers had offered them protection from prosecution. So I called the prosecutor and told him what I'd heard, and he wanted to talk to me immediately. So we met that night, and he introduced me to some witnesses that were testifying, and we got well acquainted, and I began representing some of those witnesses. And so I did a little bit of investigation back then in, 68. I mean, not, what year was that? I don't know. 88. Okay, that's when it was. That's when the grand jury was, 1988. So I did a little work then, did a little investigation then. My client at the time got convicted and went away, and so I kind of drifted out of the picture. But the grand jury, I don't know if you've read The Boys on the Tracks by Mara Lever, but the grand jury was a real farce. And the medical examiner testified that these two boys fell asleep on the track from THC intoxication, from smoking too much marijuana, and never heard the train, never felt the vibration, and got mangled and got their legs cut off and so forth. Well, the parents didn't believe that, so they had the body exhumed and had another autopsy that said, well, the first medical examiner missed the rifle butt in the face of one of the children and the stab wounds in the back of the other child, and that the kids were dead before they got there because there was no blood at the scene, and so it started a major controversy here. Now, the investigation never went anywhere, and you won't believe what just happened. I mean, what happened 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. My secretary and I were out eating lunch, and a gentleman walked up and said that he was the engineer on that train that ran over the kids. He told us about it. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, he said, yeah, I saw the kids with saw the rifle sitting between them and the tarp over them, and we couldn't help it because it takes a mile to stop a train like that. He said, but the officers that showed up, they weren't interested in investigating it as a homicide. They were calling it an accident.
Wait, hold on 1 second. The engineer driving the train said he saw the kids before he hit them, and there was a tarp over them and a rifle butt?
Yes, and a rifle between them.
Now, has that previously been documented in anybody's story?
Yes. It's in the main book is The Boys on the Tracks. It's in there, and this gentleman's story is in there too. There's several books about this, but that's the main one. And it's in there, and she interviews all the witnesses. The officers did not report the tarp and did not report the gun. They said they couldn't find it because they weren't trying to find it for some reason. So it goes. Then there was the grand jury. The grand jury was also whitewashed. Nobody got indicted. Lots of witnesses were investigated and testified, and the witnesses say things like they weren't trying to get us to indict anybody. But as it turns out, the prosecutor, Dan Harmon, was the one that's running the grand jury, and it turns out there's lots of witnesses that put him at the scene at the time of the killings on the tracks. And so Linda Ives, who's a hell of an investigator herself, concluded that he was not there to figure out what happened to her son. She was there to figure out who knew about the scene, so to keep himself out of trouble.
Right.
And so he was later indicted himself and convicted for drug charges. So, it was everything about this was fishy. Then the state police got involved. There was a state police investigator and an IRS investigator. IRS investigator investigating rumors of money laundering in Mena, with vast amounts of cash coming into banks. And the state policeman was investigating because of all the rumors of Barry Seal's drug running. And there's lots of stories from Barry Seal out of his own mouth. There's several movies about him too.
Right.
And he was bragging to be the biggest cocaine smuggler ever, when it's probably true. There's a movie coming out in September of Tom Cruise playing Barry Seal. Do you know the name of that, Mary? The movie coming out in September. Anyway, I just saw it on the internet. They're advertising it right now. But
let me ask you a question. What do you think about the Tom Cruise movie? Do you think it's going to be a whitewash, or you think it's going to explain what really went on down there?
I think they are going to. I saw a trailer for it the other day. There's a trailer on the internet, and the trailer is blood and guts and machine guns and wrecks and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a big, exciting thing, but it's not going to be very factual. It doesn't look like. Just a minute. What?
I believe it's called American Made.
American Made? You think is the name of the movie? Mm-hmm. American Made, she says. Anyway, who knows, but they're not very interested in what I'm doing, because I notified the producer of the movie and said, look, I'm doing this case. I've got an FOIA case, and it's about this very incident, and I think you ought to read this complaint. Well, I never heard from anybody about that. So I suspect that it's going to be a shoot 'em up, blow 'em up kind of movie and not get very factual. If it's factual, it's going to be a very exciting movie. There was a movie several years ago called Double Crossed, where who played Barry Seal in that? The guy that was in the motorcycle movie.
Oh, yeah, Dennis Hopper.
Yeah. He made Barry Seal. Now, Barry Seal is a huge person, 350-pound, huge guy. So I don't think I certainly can't see Tom Cruise playing him, but
right.
He's about the third of the size. But anyway, it'll be a good movie. But Double Cross was a good movie too. There was also another movie. What was it? Oh, Dark Alliance. Have you ever heard of that?
No, that one I don't think I heard of. But I did catch the Dennis Hopper when I watched that when it first came out, because I've been fascinated with this story for a long time.
It was pretty factual, really. Dark Alliance is about the CIA cocaine smuggling into Southern California, and shows how it delivers the cocaine to the black, the criminal gangs.
Yeah, Freeway Rick Ross. I actually had Rick Ross on the show.
You had what?
Freeway Rick Ross, who was the guy that used to collect the cocaine. Yeah, I had him on the show.
You had him on your show?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Oh no, yeah,
he's the main drug dealer. He's the main drug dealer in the whole deal.
Oh yeah, I know. He made that clear.
My God, what was the guy making $100 million a month or something like that? I mean, huge sums of money.
Yeah, it was something huge.
So this is the East Coast version of Dark Alliance.
Right. Because
apparently Barry Seal was bringing huge sums of cocaine in. There's one witness in Compromised is a book by Terry Reid, who was one of the people that was training the pilots for Barry Seal, and he talks about the bringing the drugs in, and he talks about a meeting in North Little Rock, Arkansas, where Bill Clinton's present. Bill Clinton's chief of staff is present. There's a representative from the Justice Department present, and a representative of the CIA is present. And they're talking about that they're having to launder this money through the state of Arkansas's one of its lending agencies. So they're making all these loans to people with dirty drug money from the CIA. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, basically,
it's very, very credible.
It was a state-run, small business association lending facility.
That's right. That's
run
right.
by the
You're
state.
Exactly right.
Right, and that's what they were using. And Bill Clinton was in charge of this, right?
Yeah, he created it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the name of that book is Compromised by Terry Reid, and it's excellent, too, if anybody can get a copy of that. There's another good book about this case called Crossfire that L.D. Brown wrote. L.D. Brown was a state policeman that was in charge of security at the state capitol when Bill Clinton was there. And he said he was invited to interview for a CIA job by Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton helped him get the interview and helped him write the piece that the CIA wanted written to test his writing skills or something, and Bill Clinton edited it and suggested the topic. He said write an article about drug smuggling in Central America. They'd be real interested in that.
Right, and then L.D. Brown was taken on a ride along with Barry Seal.
That's right, with Barry Seal.
Down to South America, where they actually did a drug run while he's applying to be.
Yes, he did a drug run, and he it's a C-123, and he said they get real low over the jungle. They open the back of the plane up, and they throw out these huge bundles of machine guns into the jungle, and then they fly down, they land somewhere, and they pick up all these bundles of burlap bags full of cocaine and fly them back to Mina. And there's another witness, whose name I've forgotten right now, but it's in the complaint, who testified that he was also another pilot. He was present for one of the swaps where the cocaine was picked up by the John Gotti's family from New York City. And he witnessed the Gotti family paying the CIA $50 million for the cocaine.
You know, that's interesting, because when I was reading your complaint, I ran across the name Salvatore Reali.
Yes.
I knew Salvatore Reali.
You're kidding.
No,
really?
I was just a kid. I was working out of a PI's office in Brooklyn, and everybody was Salvatore Reali, I believe, had a PI's license at the time, and he was in the papers. There was some kind of scandal. He was doing payoffs or something like that. He got caught doing. He was doing local payoffs with local politicians, and everybody was very jealous of Salvatore Reali. Salvatore Reali kept mentioning his name, but I had no idea. And everyone knew the office I worked out of was involved in a lot of organized crime cases with the Persico family and the Pizza Connection trial and all that kind of stuff. So we were familiar with those guys, but I had no idea that Salvatore Reali was doing this kind of stuff at this level. You know, he was the director of security at JFK Airport.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who else would you want if you're smuggling huge sums of cocaine with the chief of security at JFK? Well, that's a hell of a deal.
Yeah, supposedly he was calling up customs and saying, "Okay, we have one of our planes coming through. Stand down. We have one of our planes leaving. Stand down." Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in these books too. That's in Compromise, the one that where is written by the pilot. He said Barry Seal could call the FAA, tell them we got a plane coming in, and they would get special permission, special landing privileges, and they would not get searched.
Now, none of this was covered in the Iran-Contra hearings, right, before Congress?
I don't know. I don't know what was covered in those hearings. I don't have a good book on that.
Right. So it seems like they just covered the guns and the weapons, but none of this coke talk, Because you said that even at that meeting you were discussing before where Clinton was there and they were talking about the money laundering, that Oliver North was there.
Yes, Oliver North. Oliver North is the one that set it up. This was Oliver North's project. Right. And they also talk about in this book, Compromise, that he talks about the Israelis who were involved in financing the cocaine transportation.
Oh, really?
I mean, this is amazing conspiracy.
Hey, and the name Adnan Khashoggi, did that come up in all this?
It does. I can't remember how, but I do remember that name from this book, Compromise.
Yeah, because that's very interesting. Adnan Khashoggi, he just died like 2 days ago.
Wow.
And there was nothing. At one time, he was the richest man in the world, a billionaire Adnan Khashoggi. He was on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous every week. And he
really?
Oh, are you kidding me? Oh, yeah. And
I'm out of the loop as usual.
Well, you want to know what? He had the most expensive yacht in the world, and he sold it to Donald Trump. And then he was the previous owner of Mar-a-Lago. He sold that to Donald Trump.
Wow.
Yeah, well, you'd think this would make, the richest man in the world dies, connections to Iran-Contra, buddies with Donald Trump. You'd think they'd mention that on the news.
You would.
But none of this gets talked about in mainstream media, right? Or the main news outlets, does it?
Trump needs to buy a TV station or something.
Yeah, right. Now, what about you? How is the mainstream media approaching you with this? Are they interested in this litigation?
Okay, this is kind of funny. Years ago, when this book came out, The Boys on the Trucks, in '99, the mainstream media was covering it a little bit because it was making Bush look bad.
Right.
Okay. But now it's going to make Clinton look bad, so nobody's covering it.
Yeah, when you look at WikiLeaks, that all the stuff that came out, it does appear that the Clintons have a lot of influence over the mainstream media.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. I don't know why. I guess maybe it's run by Democrats or wealthy donors or something. I don't understand that either. Yeah. But, you get a totally different story on Fox than you do on CNN.
Yeah. But even Fox doesn't talk about this that much. There's a lot of shenanigans they don't talk about.
No.
Very
interesting. Maybe they will, I hope.
So now
it's a huge story.
It really is the story of the practically the century, and because a lot of these names too that come up in this, like Felix Rodriguez,
right,
we're involved
I'm impressed. You know his name.
Oh, are you kidding me? Listen, man, I've had Daniel Hopsicker on the show too, who lived with Barry Seal's wife. He stayed with her and lived with Barry Seal's wife to write the story about Barry Seal. Barry and the Boys.
Okay.
Did you read that book, Barry and the Boys?
No. That's great. I need to read that.
Daniel Hopsicker is a
Send me a link to that. I want to see that.
I absolutely will. Okay. Daniel Hopsicker has done fantastic work. The guy should have a Pulitzer Prize. And he discovered the picture of Operation 40, of all those assassins down there. With Felix Rodriguez is one of them, and
sure.
Richard Todd Plumlee. And all those guys, and a lot of these guys you mentioned too in this thing. What about? Did you run across Gene Chip Tatum in your work on this?
I have.
What do you mean?
He's an interesting guy too.
Yeah. Well,
I do have some of his writing here, and I've got the books by Rodriguez here too. He's an interesting guy. He said he was there when Che Guevara got shot.
Right. Well, supposedly too, he had Che Guevara's hands in his freezer back in his office.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, and did you know that Jeb Bush made him gave him an honorarium down there in Miami? They named a day after him, after Felix Rodriguez.
Really? Yeah. Rodriguez?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How sick is that?
Well, he's still alive, right, Rodriguez?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He is.
Now, what about in your work and all this? Since listen, there's been a lot of murders, a lot of deaths surrounding all this. Have you experienced any kind of threats or intimidation to stop you?
Well, no, not recently. When this first started, we were working on it back in '88. These police officers were following me and my secretary around and shooting machine guns down her street, but nothing since then. Nothing in years and years and years.
So that was in '88. That was pretty much while all this was still going on.
That's right. That's when the grand jury was going on. Now, I filed suit against the CIA asking I want the results of all your investigations and FBI investigations and state police and all that. And the government filed a motion to dismiss saying I had failed to exhaust administrative remedies. I responded to that and say, no, there was no obligation because you guys screwed the case up. So, and that was filed back in December the 1st, 2016, and it has not been ruled on or set for a trial, set for a hearing, and we're writing the court asking that it be set, but we're getting nothing back. I don't know what to do at this point.
Very interesting. Do you do a lot of FOIA requests?
No, I don't. This is by far the biggest one I've ever done. This was a huge request, with 25 different agencies. Another thing that's happened recently since I filed it is Charlene Wilson was a witness back in the grand jury days, and she wrote a letter which was filed that said, I was there. I'm the one who put the knife in that kid, and Danny Harmon was there, and Keith McCaskill was there, who has since been murdered, and she was a witness, and she said, I was there when they put the bodies on the truck. And so she's a good witness. And there's another guy that was said to be one of the people that put the boys on the tracks. And both those people have disappeared recently, this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was going to ask you that. How many of these people, like witnesses and stuff, are still alive?
Well, those two people are probably still alive, but I don't know who they are. I don't know where they are. Danny Harmon's still alive.
You don't know where they are because you haven't tried to locate them?
I have.
Oh, you have tried.
And I was told by the internet that one of them was in the Pulaski County Jail here, and the other one was in a jail in South Arkansas. So I sent a detective down there to talk to her, and he comes back and says she's not there.
Oh, really?
And the witness that was here, if you look on the internet, it says he's being held by a United States Marshal. No charges are pending. I'm going, that's interesting. They just pick him up and throw him in jail for no reason. Is it just to keep him away from me? Anyway, he's not in jail anymore. Nobody knows where he is. So I expect the Justice Department knows where he is, but I don't.
And do either of these two witnesses have attorneys that you can contact?
Not that I know of.
Okay, that's very interesting.
We've looked. We can't find one.
So now we kind of brushed over it, but the two boys, the other one was Dan Henry and Larry Kevin Ives. Okay, and you're representing the mother, Linda Ives. Now these two, what we know is we found their bodies on the railroad track, and they said that they were overdosed on smoking marijuana and went to bed, on the tracks. My God.
Right.
What is your theory of this case? What do you think happened, caused them to wind up on those tracks?
Well, I've read a lot, as you know.
Yeah.
And what I think is that this was one of the drops for Barry Seal. This is one of the cocaine drops because it was easy to spot from the air because it had lights over the tracks. And it was close to Little Rock. It was between Benton and Little Rock. And these kids somehow either stumbled across it or found it and knew it was going to happen. But there have been lots of police reports in those days of complaining to the sheriff about why are these planes coming over my house late at night with their lights off so low. And there were lots of complaints to the police about that. And so there was, the neighborhood knew something was going on. And so these kids are walking down the track at 12:30 at night or 1 o'clock and disappear, never show back up. And then it turns out they were hit by this train at 4 o'clock in the morning. So that's what everybody knew then. And it's just every time you turn around, there's a new fact, a new chapter opening. Like today at lunch, the engineer comes up and talks to me.
So basically, the theory is the way they were dropping off these drugs is they would fly down low over these tracks, using the tracks as kind of an eye mark, a line of sight. Right. They would fly in the direction of the tracks and then drop them there. And an easy place to go and pick them up. Everyone knows what a tracks are. You just got to go 100 feet down or 100 feet south, right? Now, but then the thing was covered up from the very start, from the very first night. Now, what about the mother? Did she talk to the friends of either of these two kids to find out how they would know that the drugs were being dropped there that night?
Nobody knows the answer to that. I don't know if they knew it or not. They told the other kid's daddy that they were going to go hunting that night, which probably meant spotlighting deer. Probably that's all you can do in the middle of the night. But anyway, and Linda would not have let her son go out that night. She's very, very protective. But anyway, but they were spending the night with the other kid, and the other kid's daddy let them do it, and so that was the last anybody saw them. So I don't know what they knew.
And what
I don't know anybody that ever talked to them that has talked to me about what they knew.
And what was the age of these boys?
17.
17. So
juniors in high school.
Yeah, right. Juniors in high school. So at that age, if they were to pick up like a 10 pounds of coke or 25 pounds of coke, they would have the ability to sell that coke and get rid of it.
Sure.
At 17,
it was. I'm sure it was a lot bigger duffel bag than that.
Right.
100 pounds.
Really, and they had connections to do that. These kids at 17.
Who knows? I don't know. The mama doesn't know anything about that.
Right.
I doubt that they did.
Yeah, right. Maybe they're just hoping it would be pot because they had pot in their system. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's mafia quantities.
Yeah, right. Which brings in Salvatore Reale and the Gambino family. But now,
yeah, he was down here.
Really?
When this pilot unloaded the cocaine, he was here.
Sal Reale was down there in Arkansas unloading cocaine off a plane.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And the pilot says, "Where's this going?" He said, "New York City."
Right. Okay.
Now that complaint is online, and I would invite anybody to. I don't know. It's on my Facebook page, but if you just Google "kids on the tracks," you'll find more than you can possibly read. But it's a fascinating story, and I would invite anybody to read it. And if anybody knows anything more than what's in that complaint, I would like them to let me know at rdavidlewis@yahoo.com.
Oh, rdavidlewis@yahoo.com. And your Facebook page is a R. David Lewis Facebook page?
I think so. I've never looked at it. My Facebook page say R. David Lewis? She says it's R. David Lewis, Attorney at Law.
R. David Lewis, Attorney at Law, if they have any kind of information. Okay.
I'm sure lots of people do. There's too many people that know too much. I'm sure there's people out there that know exactly what happened.
Yeah. Well, is there anybody besides you and the mother working on this, and Merrill Levitt, or anybody there trying to dig up information on this still?
Well, we have a couple of detectives helping us, but they're not really. I don't think they're really getting anything done. One of them's the one that went down to talk to the witness at jail that disappeared,
right.
But nobody's really doing any investigation really. I don't know. I wouldn't know what to do at this point. I want the records because the CIA and the FBI spent a fortune doing this investigation, and they did it with our tax money. So I think we need to see it. I mean, it's a 30-year murder case.
Yeah.
Mama wants to know who killed her son and why they covered it up, and I think she's entitled to know that.
Right, and in this complaint, you name the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security, Drug Enforcement, Federal Bureau of FBI, State's Attorney's Office, State Department, Department of State of Arkansas, Arkansas State Police, the Bryan Police Department, everybody. You name everybody in here. But now Homeland Security, they weren't even in existence back then. What would they have on this?
They are the heir to some of the records and some of the investigations. They took over some of the agencies that were involved in it.
Gotcha. And your previous application was denied based on what?
Nothing. Who knows? I mean, all they do is they deny it, and then or they'll send you something, and there's 33 lines on a page, and 32 of them are whited out.
Right, redacted. Yeah. Okay.
And in some of these books, a lot of people have gotten these pages, and they appear in the books redacted, like in the compromise book. There's lots of pages in there that are redacted. It's amazing that, a grand jury needs to do something about this. But, they were trying to run grand juries, and they had so much. Clinton was the governor at the time,
right.
and they couldn't even get subpoenas issued. That state police investigator and that IRS investigator, they really, really tried. But they said, we can't do anything without subpoenas. We can't do anything if nobody's helping us. And the state police commander had told the state police people in the field to leave it alone. Don't touch this investigation. Drop it.
Now, you were living in Arkansas at the time?
Yes.
Now, were there rumors going around? You were in the legal community, and his brother had these drug conviction problems.
Sure.
Were these rumors going around?
Yeah. Everybody was talking about it.
Okay.
Let me tell you another thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard this or not, but back in the 80s, cocaine was just like everywhere in Arkansas, and maybe everywhere else too.
Right.
But it was real prominent in Arkansas. This used to be the home of several bond houses. We had securities firms here, lots of them, and every securities dealer had lots of cocaine. Okay, they kind of dried up in '86. That's the year that Barry Seal got killed.
Right.
So I suspect that's where it's coming from.
Now, do you have a theory on who was behind the assassination of Barry Seal, whether it was Pablo Escobar or the other theories would be George H.W. Bush?
No, I think it was the Colombians.
Oh, you do?
That's who was convicted.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
Well, they were the ones that got convicted.
Yeah. But no one was looking to charge Oliver North or George Bush with that. And meanwhile, they were the ones running the operation. You know? That's
right.
Yeah.
If it had gone deep enough, they should have been.
Yeah.
There's also the counter rumor is, the government had it done. Barry Seal knew way too much and way too many people.
Right. And have you ever talked to Barry Seal's widow?
No. Have we ever talked to Barry Seal's widow? No. There's been some. I think she's talked to Linda Ives.
Okay, yeah. Because I actually have her phone number too.
Linda Ives, she knows everything there is to know and has a fantastic mind.
Okay, we're definitely going to interview Linda Ives as well. We're going to have her on as well. And I'm going to get a hold of you off the air and talk to you about a couple of things. I got some experts in FOIA that I can put in touch with you that I think would jump all over this.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would be very interesting. What else do you want to have I forgotten to ask you about this?
Well, if you get any emails or calls or texts or anything about this, forward them to me, if you will.
Okay, and I'll send you all the shows I've done. I've done like 10 shows on this, so maybe and it's a lot of exclusive stuff. Like I said, Freeway Rick Ross I've talked to, and Hopsicker, and quite a few people on. As a matter of fact, you want to laugh. This show will be played on Gene Chip Tatum's radio station. He owns a little internet radio station.
Cool.
And he's going to play the show. So, I know Chip very well. And
really?
Yeah. So this will be interesting.
He's an interesting guy. Now, who else have you had on your show that's relevant to this?
Off the top of my head, that's all I can think of right now. A couple of authors,
okay,
who talked about it and stuff like that. But that's about it. I think.
Okay.
Oh no, you know what?
Well,
all the Clinton mistresses, I've had them on. Sally Miller and that woman Polly. I've had all them on. Yeah, Paula Jones I've heard on. It's all those Kathleen Willey and them.
Really good.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
What about, was there one named Ward?
I don't think so. Ward who?
I think her name was Sally Ward.
Oh, yeah, Sally Ward. Yeah, she was a beauty queen too, right? Or something like that?
Yes.
Oh, she's an attorney, right? She's an attorney down there, right?
Yeah. Well, one of these, I think it's Terry Reid said that he was flying tandem with Barry Seal one time, and he saw Barry Seal drop a bundle of cocaine on Seth Ward's farm, who is Sally's daddy and what's his name? The lawyer at the Rose Firm that got convicted.
And Webster
his daddy
Hubble.
too. His father-in-law. No, his father-in-law. So there's all sorts of connections, and I just wish everybody that's interested in this would read these books because it's a fascinating field.
Yeah, if Sally Ward is the one I'm thinking of, when I started asking her about the cocaine smuggling and stuff like that, she became very offended, and she didn't want to pursue that. But I didn't know.
Well, I don't blame her.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, but I didn't know this end of the story. Maybe I'll have her back on and ask her a little bit more persuasively.
I know she's never going. She left the state, by the way.
Oh, really? And now,
yeah, she moved.
What about the aftermath of all this? What about that medical examiner? Was he ever charged with anything?
No, he's Bill Clinton's protector.
Right.
I heard two rumors. I heard he still works for the state, and I heard he moved to Florida. I don't know which one's correct.
Well, he's got to be very old by now.
Yeah. But he is awful. He is terrible. Their relationship, Bill Clinton's relationship with him started years and years and years ago when he testified for Bill Clinton's mother in a medical malpractice trial.
Okay, really, that's interesting. And then,
Yeah.
he's been involved in some of these other mysterious deaths down there as well.
Well, I don't know if he's been involved in ones connected to Clinton's, but he's been involved. He's got lots of cases that are nonsense.
Right.
I mean, if this is any example, like stab wounds in the back, and he calls it a suicide, stuff like that.
Right. Now, besides these boys, are there any other mysterious murders down there surrounding this Mena, Arkansas cocaine smuggling?
Well, one of the guys that everybody says was present is Keith McCaskill. And Charlene Wilson said she was there and he was there. And Keith McCaskill was murdered. He is a huge guy, and by all reports, is a vicious fighter. Okay, he was killed, and the police charged this 18-year-old, 110-pound kid, and the community's going, "Ain't no way that's going to happen. No, ain't no way that kid can murder Keith McCaskill."
And what do you think his involvement was in McCaskill in this?
Well, he was involved in transporting the drugs away from the scene, I think.
So this had to be like a huge operation with hundreds of people. Now, what about a lot of them were South Americans too? Now, in those days, it wasn't common for there to be a bunch of Hispanic men to be in Arkansas, right? They would stick out,
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. They would, but this airport, there were two airports. The main airport's in sort of a semi-populated area. There was another airport 10 miles north, out in the woods, at a little place called Nella. I mean, Nella is really nothing except a place out in the woods. But they had a grass field out there. That's where the pilots were trained.
Okay.
So that's where the South American people were. Nobody ever went out there. Nobody knew where that place was. It's really in the boondocks.
and they never went into town for a beer or a pizza or anything like that. They just stayed out there.
I never heard that they did.
Okay, very interesting.
They would stick out like a sore thumb, though.
Yeah, especially in those days.
Not many Colombians in Southwest Arkansas.
Right. But I guess now you got a lot of South Americans, Mexicans, and Guatemalans and stuff like that. Cause,
yeah,
the whole country. Yeah.
Not flying C-130s full of cocaine.
Yeah. Now, so what about the brother, Bill Clinton's brother?
All right, what about it?
Roger Clinton. What can you tell about him and the extent of his involvement? Because the way the media makes it sound like, okay, he got caught with a couple of pounds. What do you know about his case?
Well, he's relevant to several links. For one thing, the guy L.D. Brown, when he gets back from the cocaine flight with Barry Seal, and he went into Clinton's office and said, "You know what they're doing? They're flying cocaine back." And Clinton's response was, "Oh, that's Dan Lassiter's deal."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you ever heard that name?
I've heard the name, yeah, but refresh my memory. Who is he?
He's a very wealthy guy, in my book. Hundreds of millions kind of thing.
All right.
He's a big contributor to Bill Clinton. He is friends with lots of governors and is a financier of governors. He was the head of one of the biggest bond houses in Arkansas, Collins, Locke, and Lassiter. And all three of the top three, bless their hearts, all went to prison for cocaine trafficking. And I knew them all. They're nice guys, but, they were doing some funny stuff. And their defense was, "Hey, look, we were just giving it to girls at parties. We weren't dealing drugs."
Okay.
But they still got convicted, and they all still got a little prison time. Clinton pardoned Lassiter when he was president.
Now, when you knew these guys and you were friends with them, did you know that they were dealing drugs to that level?
No.
No idea, huh?
No. In fact, I didn't go enough to their parties to even see any drugs.
Right.
Now, Dan Lassiter was also Roger's employer. Roger was his limousine driver.
Now, it's interesting. Roger's always had like these low-paying jobs. How come Bill didn't get him a position some places?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it was too much trouble or not smart enough. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Now, what about there was something too in your complaint I read about how they were saying that one of these bond houses down there was doing more transactions, they said, than Chase Manhattan Bank.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. In fact, one of their transactions was kind of crazy because there's a guy named somebody Patrick who's a circuit clerk up in Ohio or something like that, and they got his ID information, and they were running millions of dollars of bond trades through this guy's account.
And he had no idea.
He had no knowledge of it.
Amazing.
He never had an account, as far as he knew.
Now, what about George W. Bush Jr.? Any reports of him flying in and out of Arkansas or Mena Airport?
No, nothing I know of.
Okay, that's very interesting. Okay. All right.
It's kind of weird, because there's all this heat, all this story surrounding George H.W. Bush, because he was the head of CIA and he was, Reagan's vice president and stuff. And this thing about the flying the guns down was his idea.
Right.
And so you've got this horrible drug and gun run started under George Bush Sr., and then there's George Jr., who's apparently not connected to it at all, and then there's Bill Clinton, who's right in the middle of it.
Now, do you think Bill Clinton fell into this, or did he have CIA connections even before he came out of college? What do you make of all that?
Well, don't know. I mean, he's an opportunist, Yeah. Any way to get sex and drugs, I guess he's in favor of, really.
And did you have any contact with Clinton while you were down in Arkansas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you know him firsthand?
Oh, yeah.
And he was always...
we knew each other before either one of us went to law school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now...
I was in a band playing saxophone, playing in Hot Springs, and somebody introduced me to this kid that wanted to sit in, so I said, sure. So he sat in, he played my horn for a while. And then years later, I had another band here at Little Rock. We were playing at the Bar Convention when Bill was the Attorney General, so he wanted to sit in again, so he sat in again. So he's played my horn twice.
Get out of here.
That's our connection.
And did you pick up like a herpes or anything from him?
No, not that I know of.
Okay. All
Maybe
right.
that's where it came from.
I would double check, man. I would get myself a blood test, my friend.
Yeah.
Now, was he always like he was always like a womanizer, but was he always like a drug user too?
I don't know. I never did drugs with him. I hear stories and I see pictures of videos of Roger doing drugs, and actually I represented a guy that said he was the one that set Roger up originally. And I know what all he says, and he said that when Roger got the drugs from him, he said, "Well, I got to go to the mansion."
Really?
Yeah.
But
that's all I know.
But Roger was like small scale, local, just a couple of pounds, or was he heavily involved in all this?
No, he was a little guy.
Little guy, very interesting.
I think he was. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that much about it. I haven't talked to my client that much about it, but I suspect he was just, grams,
right?
Not ounces, not pounds.
And what about Clinton though? What about his CIA connections? Do you think this was his first contact with the CIA, or was he recruited like out of college?
Well, it's kind of weird, but if you read this book about L.D. Brown, back when that was going on, which was many, many years ago, I don't know, like 88 or 89, Clinton was certainly well acquainted with him then.
That's the one with this L.D. Brown story, right?
Yeah, that's a great book.
Imagine that. Do you want to apply for the CIA? And he was the governor or the...
He was the governor.
You go to the governor. The governor. I want to apply for a job with the CIA. He says, okay, and they send you on a drug run as part of your job interview.
Yeah.
Is this guy still around? L.D. Brown? Is he alive?
He's been in my office. He's a great guy too. He's real smart. He wound up getting a PhD from London in government. He's around here somewhere.
Okay, I'd love to interview him too, man. Okay,
he's great. You got to get him on. He knows everything. He's very articulate.
Has he done a lot of interviews, do you think?
I've never heard he did one.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely get him on. Okay.
Let me know if you need some help.
Oh, are you kidding me, man? I love you. This is great. I just, okay. Now, what else can you give us? Because we got about 15 minutes left.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's about the whole story. I mean, everything is in these books I'm telling you about.
Right.
I don't want to sit here and just read the books to you, but if you get the complaint off the internet and read it, it's like 70 pages long, and it summarizes all these books.
Yeah, your complaint.
So you get the complaint and read it and read the attachments. You've got enough to run a grand jury yourself.
I have your complaint without the exhibits, though. Is the complaint available online with the exhibits?
I don't know.
I got the 35-page complaint.
Okay, well, it's another 35 pages of exhibits, but the exhibits, they're not that important. The exhibits are just things like the letters to the agencies and their responses and the redacted stuff I got. So it's not, you don't need to get the exhibits.
Okay, great. Okay, so listen, I can't thank you enough. Mr. Robert David Lewis, his Facebook is R. David Lewis, Attorney at Law. And what was your email address again?
rdavidlewis@yahoo.com.
rdavidlewis@yahoo.com. Anything comes up in this case and you want to come on the air, get a hold of me, or I'll check in with you.
Okay.
I don't think you really care to keep in contact with people. I'll get a hold of you. Okay.
I bet there are people listening to us right now that know things I need to know.
Oh, yeah, and there's a lot of people. I think a lot of people who I've had on the show would be interested in talking to you and trying to help out with this. I'm going to do some. Yeah.
Well, I hope so.
No, me too. I can't thank you enough.
We've got a GoFundMe page, but it never gets any money because Linda and I are just doing this on our change.
Okay,
change.
well then great. And listen, I asked you if you had any links. What is the GoFundMe page?
Mary, what's the GoFundMe page? You know?
I don't know the link name.
She can't remember it either.
Okay, I'm going to email you. And you can send me that. Next time, I'm going to have Mary on the show. And then
Mary knows everything.
She'll tell me everything you're forgetting.
You're going to
okay?
be on the show, Mary. She said no.
Oh, no, she doesn't want to do it? Okay.
You're going to love Linda, though.
I know. Okay. It's just so tragic. You got to lose your kid 17 years old. You know what I mean? To some kind of filthy corruption like this, just so they can line their pockets and have the power to cover it up. It just really upsets me sometimes.
And she'll tell you, I should have had grandchildren on my knee by now. I should have had great grandchildren on my knee by now.
That is so true. That is so true.
Yeah.
And I bet you that the Clintons do not lose a minute's worth of sleep over these kind of things.
Nope.
Nope. It's a horrible people, man.
No, they somehow they got in a divorce from their conscience, I guess.
Yeah, and the Bushes too. The Bushes are up to it, and the Ollie North. You see Ollie North on TV now. They treat him like a hero. The guy's got a criminal record and involved in this kind of filth.
I know it.
Yeah.
I see that on TV, and I'm going, "You are a murderer, dude."
I was in church. Ollie North came here to Las Vegas for some kind of anti-abortion thing he was speaking at. I'm sure they paid him like $20 grand. And I was in church, and the pastor of my church started saying, and we met Ollie North the other day, and what a great guy, and he's a hero. I sat there, I was ready to puke. I was going to try and sneak in there and get my picture taken with him, just for a goof. But the people. This is so, and the information is out there. People can look this stuff up if they want to. Meryl Levitt's book is very popular. Yeah,
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And if I could get this thing from the CIA, if I could get their files, I just need to, sell it. I bet that would be the greatest book ever.
Oh, forget it. Yeah, I would love to see these documents, like you said, and what about, you must have, the local police reports, though, right? You must have those.
No, they've been redacted, too.
Really? And
Listen,
yeah.
When you're the president and when and you have been the governor, you control all the investigations.
No, I agree with you, but I just assume that they must have made those available after 30 years. It's been 30 years, man.
Well, it has, but it didn't happen in Little Rock. It happened in Saline County, which is a little rural county to the south of here.
Right.
Population maybe 30,000.
Okay.
And it happened out in the woods. Didn't happen inside a city. So there weren't that many agencies that could have investigated. There's the county sheriff and the state.
Right. So Saline County Sheriff's Department, how many cops is that? 30, 40?
Oh, no. How many Saline County deputies do you think there are? 12?
12, yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's a tiny place.
All those 12 guys are retired now, living well, I'm sure.
Yeah, they are.
Mr. Lewis.
I got a lot of people that know a lot of things. So if we stay in touch, I'll give you some more names, of the investigators that know things.
I'm going to email you. Okay, anybody you want to put on the show? I'll do 10 shows on this. This is a fascinating topic, and I know my listeners are interested in it. So
give me an email, and I'll send you an email back of names and people you need to talk to.
I promise you. Thank you so much.
Okay, you got it.
Good night,
dude. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Whoa, I love that show. I like this guy, and I think we can. I hate to say it on the air because they'll come after me next, but I think I can help him out with some stuff, man. I got to put him in touch with some people that are FOIA experts that I go to. So, and I'm pretty good at it. And this complaint though is excellent. Okay, check out this complaint. I'm going to have it in OppermanReport.com. It's a 35-page complaint. I'll email him. I'll get the secretary, Mary, to help me out. I'll become friends with her. But Salvatore Reale, this is so funny. Because I guess I was talking once to Ted Rubenstein, and he mentioned Reale, and I says, yeah, I know Sal Reale from New York. I remember Sal Reale. And so since then, I was thinking about it. I was thinking back to the day I met him in that office in Brooklyn, and how everybody was always jealous of him, and they were always mad about Reale. It was muttering the name, Reale, because he, I'm almost positive he had a PI license. He was well known as a PI. And that he was given the PIs a bad name because of his, he was a bag man running around paying off politicians and judges and lawyers and stuff like that. But when I looked him up on the computer just now, I'm starting to talk like Mr. Lewis. Look on the computer there, on the computer. What do you call it? It said that he got convicted for extortion and racketeering with the unions over there, doing extorting from shipping companies down there. But he got a deal, man. He got sentenced to 15 years. He got a suspended sentence. He didn't have to go to prison, do any prison time at all. But he was banned from New York City. He wasn't allowed. He was exiled from the city. He wasn't allowed to come back to the city and associate with any organized crime figures in New York. So fascinating stuff. So we're going to have Linda Ives coming on soon. I got her number. I got her email address. I'm going to put Mr. Lewis in touch with some of our previous guests who are experts on this case. Man, you know what? Make a difference, right? Wouldn't it be great if we make a difference? If the Opperman Report, we can help this woman, Linda Ives, we can help this case move forward. We get some breaking new information out. So in order to do that, I say it all the time, but you know what we need? We need support. You go to OppermanReport.com. I'm running a special right now where, 1 year membership, $75. Go to OppermanReport.com and you get a year's worth of the member section. With a free book. I'll send you a free copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. It's an autographed copy. The first chapter is the biography of my life. It's a very short chapter. It's only a cursory chapter, story of my life. I'm going to write a whole book about my life for sure. And now that I'll put that in the book too. As time goes on, you start to realize, it's just amazing. Like when I look back at all the people I grew up with, like Al Sharpton and where they won't, all these people I ran across, where they wound up, and how I'm still here struggling like a loser. I guess because I turned my way from a life of crime to a life of honesty and seeking justice. Is there any justice in the world? But anyway, enough of me. OppermanReport.com. There's another special too, where if you want to PayPal me direct, you contact me at OppermanReport@gmail.com. And we'll set up a little PayPal. I'll send you a PayPal invoice for $69. Because this way we're cutting out the tiny pass and we don't have to give them a commission. You're dealing with me directly, so I can save you a little bit of money. You get 13 months. And you get access to the money right away instead of waiting 45 days. $69, you get 13 months and a free book. You email me at OppermanReport@gmail.com. Want to send a donation? There's a donation button at OppermanReport.com. Or you can PayPal me a donation. We always appreciate donations. You want to advertise on the show? We need sponsors. We need advertisers. You have no idea how many people you'll reach on this show, guys. We sold 300 books, like I said, the Marilyn Monroe show. But on top of that, man, I get so many emails in a day. A stupid little thing. You make a little mistake. You say something wrong. You 50 emails about it. I spelt Wayne Madsen's name wrong on one of John Barber's shows. And I get 50 emails. Ed, I spelled the name. I know I spelled the name. I'm going to get around to it. Give me a break. Doing the best I can. But please, we need your support. We need your help. I'm going to be talking to Linda Ives on this. We're going to follow up on this. We're going to help move this case forward with some FOIA experts that I have. So I can't thank you enough for all your love and support you give me here. And we'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. Did you know that 30% of all people on online dating websites and personal ads are either married or in a monogamous relationship? 30%. If you suspect that your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend may be cheating online, go to emailrevealer.com. Our online infidelity investigation. You give us their email address, and we could trace it back to online personal ads, dating sites, and social networks. We can even expand the investigation and find them cheating on escort service sites or even porn sites if they're registered to porn sites and swinger sites. So check out emailrevealer.com if you suspect your spouse is cheating, and check out our online infidelity investigation. William Ramsey is a producer here at the Opperman Report, and he's just come out with a new book, Children of the Beast, Aleister Crowley's Shadow Over Humanity. Now, he just sent me a copy of this book. Oh boy, it's about 2 inches thick, and there's a chapter on just about everybody in this book that you can imagine. The Beatles, and Jack Parsons, everybody's in here. It's incredible. And I definitely recommend this book. There's a bunch of pictures in here, too, of all these people and different chapters and information. Anton LaVey and people I've never heard of, too. There's a whole bunch in here. JFC Fuller. I don't know who he is. But it's great stuff by our producer here, William Ramsey. So check out Children of the Beast, Aleister Crowley's Shadow Over Humanity. You can find it on Amazon.com. Or you could find it in the OppermanReport.com bookstore. We have an urgent bulletin. It seems that the group Strawman is still on the loose. It has been confirmed that Strawman are Canadian, okay, and that authorities are asking people to stay indoors, lock your doors and windows until this group can be dealt with. You could find more information about this group of Canadians, at strawmanmusic.com. You can have your ad played here. Okay, we're looking for sponsors. Okay, in fact, we desperately need sponsors right now to take this show to the next level. So you can have your ad played here, read live, like I'm doing now, so artfully. Or we can even work up a little jingle for you with some music and stuff like that and play it here. You have no idea how inexpensive it would be to have your ad played on the Opperman Report on 7 stations live Friday night and another 7 stations live on Saturday night, plus replayed every day of the week on different stations, and then archived on YouTube, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and all different kinds of podcasts, Pod This and Podbean, all different kinds of places who archive the show for us. And on those archives, your ad would play indefinitely, forever. You also get a little banner on OppermanReport.com. You get a mention on the air, you get a little interview on the air, and all kinds of fun stuff if you sponsor Opperman Report. We have an opportunity to get this show on a major AM/FM station in California. We've been approved. So if you want to sponsor us into that, so incredibly inexpensive that your ad would be heard by the range covers 5 million people in population where your ad would be broadcast, and all these other stations would be thrown in for free. So really affordable prices to sponsor OppermanReport.com. Get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You can get a copy of that book at emailrevealer.com, or you can get a copy of that book now. It's back up on Amazon.com. How to Become a Successful Private Investigator by Ed Opperman. And this book has been updated a little bit from the previous book that we had that was available to our wonderful listeners.